Hi friends, welcome to Amazon World. So I will be continuing discussing the question. I think I covered illustration number 2 in time. Now let's see how illustration number 3 and 4 is being solved. SV Limited manufactures BXC by mixing 3 raw materials. For every batch of 100 kg of BXC, 125 kg of raw materials are used. Okay, so the product name is BXC. And for every 100 kg they said it is 125 kg of raw materials. 125 kg of raw materials is being used for them so that they could make 100 kg of BXC. Okay, so in April 2012 60 batches were prepared to produce an output of 5600 kg of BXC. Okay, so what happened is that on 2012 60 batches were prepared first, so we are prepared to produce an output of 5600 kg of BXC. Okay, then what happened, the standard and actual particulars for April 2012 were as under. So they have given us some standard and actual particulars. Now let's see how it is. So standard mix they have given us 50%, 30%, 20%, and price per kg, that is, this is the standard price. Standard price has been actually given to us, and actual data is also given to us, that is 60%, 20%, and its actual price has also been given. Quantity of raw material purchased 5000, 2000, 1000. Let's see how this question is being solved. They have asked us to compute all variances. Let's see how it is being solved. Okay, so the question they have given is that 125 kg of raw materials are used in order to make every batch of 100 kg of BXC. That means each batch of BXC contains 100 kg. And in order to make this 100 kg, how much kg are they using? They are using 125 kg. They are inserting 125 kg raw materials. So 100 kg, each batch will contain 100 kg. Right, and in April they are saying that 60 batches has been produced. Let's analyze the first point again, that is 125 kg of input has been inserted and we ended up with 100 kg. What happened to this 25 kg? Where did it go? So we are assuming that this 25 kg is the loss. Okay, fine. Now let me tell this point, that is, whenever there is information regarding loss, we have to understand that this information of loss is being given to us so that we could find the standard quantity. They will not give us I think in the exam questions and all, I don't think they will be giving us direct questions. So they will be asking us to find the standard quantity first and then start the calculation, right? We have to first attain our data so that we could start computing our variances and all. But for that we have to first see what is we have to actually reach the standard quantity. Only after getting the relevant data which is required to compute the variances, we can start computing, right? So the importance of the information regarding loss is that in order to find the standard quantity, most of the questions it will be, because the main objective will be to find the standard quantity. Standard price and all they will be giving us in the question directly. There is nothing to bother about it. So we are going to find, now we are going to focus more on the standard part. We are going to find how much is the quantity in the standard. Okay, so for standard I have already explained this point before, I guess. So that is for standard and actual, that is standard information is actually for what? Actual only. That is, the result of both standard and actual will be same. That is, in the question they have given us the actual result was 5600 kg. Right, 5600 kg is the actual result. So for both standard and actual, output will be 5600 kg, and this 5600 kg is after loss. So in standard case, what we have to do? We have to find the amount, we have to find the quantity which is being inserted, not the amount after loss. In the question they have given us 5600 kg which is after loss. I want to find the amount which is before loss. Okay, so we already go to know 25 kg is the loss. 125 kg is being used for every batch. Input is being used for every batch, and only 100 kg, and in every batch there will be only 100 kg. So before loss it was 125, after loss it was 100, right? 25 kg is the loss. I want to know what is an amount which is equal to 125 kg. I want to know what is the amount which is equal to 125%. Okay, so let's see that. In the standard thing, they have given us that 5600 is the actual output. Okay, standard, as I've told you, standard information is for actual, right? is for actual. So 5600 for 5600 will be taken in both cases as output. So here 5600 is been given, and we already know this 5600 is after loss. That is, this amount is equal to 5600 is equal to 100%. So 5600 divided by 100, I'm doing it, and I want an amount which is equal to 125. So into 125 I did, and I've got 7000 kg, and this 7000 kg is what I've been dividing according to the ratios which has been provided us in the question. In the table they have given us a particular ratio, and I'm dividing the 7000 with the information which is given in the table. That is 50%, 30%, 20%. 7000 into 50% you will get this much, 7000 into 30% you will get this much, and likewise in C's case also. So this is how I am calculating standard. Now let's see how actual is being calculated. Now let me explain how actual consumed information is being acquired. They have already told us that 100 kg, that is, each batch contains 100 kg of BXE, and in order to make this 100 kg BXE we require 125 kg of raw materials. So during April they have already produced 60 batches. So how much quantity we might have taken? 60 into 125, that is exactly what I did here, 60 into 125, and we'll get 7500 kg. And with the help of the information which is already provided us in the question, that is the ratios, 60%, 20%, 20%, and I'm dividing the 7500, and I acquired the quantity of A, B, C, actual quantities. Now let me write down the prices as well here, so that it will be easier for us to compute. There will be no need to just go and come to refer our textbook. So the standard price goes like this. For A it is 20, B it is 10, and C is 5, and actual prices are 21 for A, 8 for B, and 6 for C. Okay, so now let's just start calculating. Okay, so the very first thing that comes into our way is material cost variance, standard cost minus actual cost. So we have to first acquire standard cost minus actual cost. So for that, what we have to do, we have to multiply each of them and then total it out, both standard and actual. So I'll be showing you how I am calculating standard, and you have to do the actual by yourself. Okay, it's easier. So we are going to find the standard cost. We know the first thing we are going to find is material cost variance. So for that we require standard cost as well as actual cost. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to find standard cost. I have already shown you this by doing illustration number 2. It's just that I don't want to make you guys confused. You have to do actuals by yourself. Okay, so 3500 kg for A, 3500 into each kg will be 20 m plus, 2100 into 10 m plus, 1400 into 5 m plus. Memory recall, I got how much? 98,000. Okay, so 98,000 is the standard cost. That means I multiplied each of them and I added that multiplied amount. That is 3500 into 20, I'll get 70,000. Then 2100 into 10, I will get 21,000. 1400 into 5, I'll get 7,000. When I add these three amounts together, I'll get 98,000. Okay, so that is what we have done. So standard cost will be 98,000 total. 98,000. So you have to find actuals by yourself. Simple, I will just help you. That is 4,500 into 21 plus 1,500 into 8 plus 1,500 into 6. That's it. Okay, so do it by yourself and you will get. This is the standard cost. Sorry, this is the actual cost we'll get. So first find material cost variance. Material cost variance will be 98,000 minus 115,500. So how much will be the answer? 98,000 minus 115,500. 70,500. And as you can see, standard cost, when we it should have been 98,000, but the actual cost that came was 1,15,500. Okay, so it's actually an adverse situation, right? So it is adverse. Please don't depend upon this signs. Okay, you have to understand by yourself why it is adverse and why it is favorable. Okay, so when it comes to here, it should have been 98,000. With the on the basis of budgeted, it should have been 98,000, but we ended up with actually incurring 1,15,500. It is an adverse situation. It is a bad situation. So 70,500 is that extra amount, and it is adverse situation, right? Then we have to find material usage variances and material price variance. So for that we require standard quantity, actual quantity, which we have already found. Standard rate is also available. So now we are going to find standard material usage variance. Now we are going to calculate. I'm going to show you how the calculation is going. That is, first thing, material usage variance. Okay, so I'll be keeping this formula here so that it will be easier for you to understand. Material usage variance, they say standard quantity minus actual quantity into SR. So this side is actually of the responsibility. This side is of the responsibility of production manager. So I have already told you, when it comes to production manager's responsibility, it will be always quantity inside the brackets. When you see here further, you'll get to see that every brackets includes quantity inside them here. Whatever it might be, it will be quantity only when it gets to the production manager side, and when it gets to the purchase manager side, it will be rates or prices inside the bracket. Fine. Okay, so here see, first thing we are going to find, we have already found material cost variance, that is actually 17,500 adverse case. Then comes usage variance. So in usage variance, I will show you the calculation. They have told us standard quantity minus actual quantity. So when it gets to A, 3,500 is a standard quantity we used, and when in the actual quantity we have used, we have actually used 4,500, and the standard rate is 20 to 20,000 adverse case. So it was a case of adverse. And next thing, in the B's case, it was favorable when we did in this way, and in C's case it was again adverse. And when we take the net effect, the total effect, when we take the net effect, we'll get 14,500 adverse. So that is the answer of material usage variance. We are finding it separately for A, B and C, and we end up with like the net effect, and finally we'll take the net effect and we'll get this 14,500 adverse. Okay, and next thing, the next thing that comes is material price variance. So for material price variance, they have told us that standard rate minus actual rate into actual quantity, as we have to find the responsibility of the purchase manager. See here, when I substituted the values into this formula, I got, in A's case I got an adverse case again, in B's case it is favorable again, and in C's case it was again adverse. So when I took the net effect, I got 3,000 adverse, and that is the answer of material price variance. I just substituted the values into this formula. Okay, it is only material yield and mix variance you will get a bit confused, so I'll be explaining them. So for material yield variance, our formula will be this one. So you can either calculate this one or this one. In our study maths and all, it has been material yield variance is what they have calculated. So I am also showing you how material yield variance have to be calculated. Okay, for both material sub-usage and material yield, the answer will be same. Okay, but still the way of doing that is different. You cannot write material sub-usage variance and do the formula of material yield variance. Okay, if you are going to do material yield variance, you have to write material yield variance itself and write the formula and then start computing. Okay, so I'm going to show you how material yield variance is to be computed. So for that we require three datas. Actual output is already available for us, that is which is 5,600, that is already available in the question. We have to find standard output from actual input. That is, we have to find if usually standard information is for what, actual production only, right? But I want to know if taking the actual input, I want to know what would have been the output. If there was no loss and all, what would have been the output, I want to know. So that is what we are going to calculate in here. So when we calculate that, we know that 7,000, that is 5,600 is the output, right? 7,000 is a standard input, but I want to know the standard output for actual input. So for both standard and actual, output is 5,600 only, but I want to know if instead of the 7,000, what would have been the answer if I was investing 7,500 in case of standard. So 5,600 divided by 7,000 into 7,500, I got 6,000. So 6,000 kg should have been the output. Okay, if I am going to invest, like if I am going to insert the raw material, 7,500 kg raw material. So I got what standard output from actual input, and that is 6,000. Now what we have to do, we have to substitute the formula. So we already know actual output, which is 5,600 only, that is available in our question. So I am subtracting it, that is 6,000 should have been the yield, but I got only 5,600. Now the next data we require is standard rate per kg of output. So how should we find it? We already know that total standard cost is 98,000, that is 3,500 into 20 plus 2,100 into 10 plus 1,400 into 5, I get 98,000. Okay, and we add these three together, I'll get 98,000. And this 98,000, I want to find the cost per kg, right? Cost per kg, standard rate per kg of output. So output is what? 5,600. So 98, in order to find how much for 1 kg? What should I do? 98,000 divided by 5,600. That's what I have done here. Okay, so I'll get how much? 7,000. And in case of sign, this is why I've told you, please don't depend on the signs, because in case, especially in yield cases, when you look into the sum, you'll just write it like the answer which is appearing in our calculator will be positive only, because 6,000 minus 5,600, 6,000 is greater than 5,600, right? But in case of yield means what? The production, the output. That is, it should have been 6,000, but we were only able to produce 5,600. That means it is an adverse case. I should have been produced 6,000, but I ended up producing only 5,600. So this is adverse case when it gets to yield. Okay. So, and I'm multiplying it with standard rate per kg of output. Okay, so I got 7,000 adverse. It will be adverse. Okay, not favorable. Please don't depend. This is why I told you, please don't depend on the signs. Okay, the next thing we are going to calculate is material mix variance. So mix variance, I have already shown it in here. Mix variance, see here. So for mix variance we require RSQ minus AQ. As we already know, we have already got the actual quantity data, and we already know standard rate as well. We have to find RSQ. So for RSQ I have already made a working note here. So see here. So RSQ, for the before calculating RSQ, we have to know what is RSQ actually means. Actual quantity revised in the ratio of standard. We are revising the actual quantity on the ratio of standard. Let me show you. That is, see here. 7,000 is the total of these three, right? 3,500 plus 2,100 plus 1,400, you'll get 7,000, right? And I want to, this is the total of actual. I want to divide the 7,500 kg in the ratio of standard. That is what we actually mean by revised standard quantity. So what I'm going to do is 3,500 is of 7,000 only. So 3,500 divided by 7,000 into 7,500, because I want to divide the 7,500 in the ratio of standard data. Okay, so that's exactly what I'm doing here. See here, in A's case it will be 3,500 divided by 7,000 into 7,500. In B's case it will be 2,100 divided by 7,000 into 7,500, and also in C's case the same way. Okay, in C also 1,400 divided by 7,000 into 7,500. So we'll get this 3,750, 2,250 and 1,500 in the work note. So this is the RSQs of A, B, C, and we are going to do it separately as we did in case of material usage and material price. So in A's case 3,750, that is RSQ minus AQ. AQ is already available for us. AQ into standard rate. Standard rate already we know, and we are doing it, and we'll get 15,000. Actually we should only use 3,750, but we ended up using 4,500, which is an adverse case. Okay, likewise in here it should be 2,250, but we have only used 1,500, which is a favorable case, but in here it is 0, right? So it's 0 into 5, 0 only. So we are not considering this, we are only taking these two. And we ended up with 7,500 favorable case in case of B, and we are taking the net effect, and we'll get 7,500 adverse. So this is the answer of material mix variance. So I hope this is clear for you, and this question is being solved. Okay, so this question has been there in the intermediate as well as final. In final study mat you will get to see, that is in 2022 syllabus, you will get to see them as in illustration 5 in SCM. Okay, so I hope this question is clear for you. Now let's start solving the next question. Now we are going to solve illustration number 4 of 2016 syllabus. This study mat is of final 2022, and in final also we have got the same exact question. So for final students you can take this question as revision. Fine. So let's read the question. A brass foundry making castings which are transferred to the machine shop of the company at standards in regard to material stocks which are kept at standard price are as follows. Read this portion again. Material stocks which are kept at standard price. That means stocks are being maintained in standard price. You have to remember this. Now let's read further. Standard mixture is 70% and material C 30%. Fine. Then what are they saying? They have given us standard rates directly as usual. 2,400 per ton for copper and 650 per ton for zinc. They have used C and Z instead of copper and zinc. That is the only difference between our intermediate and final question. Okay. Other things are all same. And they have told us that 5% is the standard closed. Okay. Then they have given us some more information. So once you analyze the question, you will get to understand that they have not given us the actual data. We have to find the actual data. So in order to find the actual data, they have given us this information. So let's just start calculating standard. We have to first acquire the data of standard, right? We have to first find the standard information clearly. So see here, these are all important for actuals. Okay, see here. Casting produced is 375 tons. This is the actual production. This is the actual output that gave 375 tons. Okay, so see here. Okay, so they have given us that 375 is the actual production, right? And they have also given us that 5% is the melting. So that is, so 5% is the standard loss. So I have told you that if there is any information regarding standard loss, that means it is the information, it is something we have to grab on, because we have to first find the standard data so that we could start computing. So this, with the help of standard loss information, we can come to the quantities, standard quantities, which is actually required for our computation. Okay, so we have got that 375 is the actual production. Fine. Then what happens? They are telling us that 5% is the standard loss. So this 375 is equal to 95%, right? Because 5% is reduced. You want the data before loss, right? So 375 divided by 95% you can do, or you can also do like this, that is 375 divided by 95 into 100 also you can do. Okay, so by doing this you will get how much? 375 divided by 95% you can do, you will get 394.73. we can round it as 395. Okay, we are going to round it as 395. Okay, so I got an amount which is equal to 395. Now they have told us that 70% is of zinc, because it is copper, and 30% is zinc, right? So copper is equal to 395 into 70% you do, and in case of that 395 into 30% you have to do. So we will get the actual standard data. 395 into 70% you will get 276.5, and in case of zinc 395 into 30% you can do 118.5. So this is the standard quantity you have to use. Okay, standard quantity is this one. We can write down the data in a table wise format. Okay, it's 276.5 in case of copper. Zinc is 118.5, and price they have given us, right? That is 2400 and 650. 2400, 650. We can just try the total here. Okay, now we have to find the actual data as well. First we have to find the actual quantity. Let's see, we are going to find. So this is the information they have given us so that we could find actual data, that is actual quantity. Okay, opening stock. Commencing stock means what? Opening stock. Opening stock of copper is 100 tons and zinc is 60 tons. Finished stock is also provided. Purchase is provided. Fine. See here, we want to, in case of actuals, what we used to find, we used to find the actual quantity consumed, right? So we have to first find what is the actual quantity consumed. That should be our priority. Actual quantity, what is the quantity I actually used, consumed, should be our aim. So in order to find that, they have given us commencing, that is opening stock. Explain copper first. Okay, and you can do the same thing for zinc as well. So copper, in case of copper, opening was 100 was there. 100 plus purchases was 300. So 100 plus 300 we got 400, right? Then what happened? At the end of the year they have got 110 tons. So once we subtract 110 from 400, we will get the quantity consumed, right? So that is exactly what we have done here. Once we subtract 110 from 400, we will get the consumption. So 290 is the consumption in case of copper. Once we get into zinc, the same thing have to be done in case of zinc as well. That is 60 was the opening, we bought 100, and what we do, when once we add these together we'll get 160. Fine. Then at the end of the year they have got 50 tons. So that means once we subtract this 50 from this 160, we'll get to understand what is the actual consumption of zinc. So 110 is the actual consumption. So we got the quantities. Now we have to find the values. In the question, the beginning of the question, they have told us that the material stocks are maintained in standard price. That is, stock means opening stock and closing stock, right? So we are going to find the value. So in case of this 100, 100 is the opening stock. As it is already given in the question, we are going to maintain the stock in standard price. So a standard price of copper is what? 2400. So what we are going to do, 100 into 2400, you will get 2,40,000. Same in case of zinc as well. That is 60 into 650 is the standard price of materials, that is zinc. So 60 into 650 you can do 39,000 will get. Then what happens? Purchases. In case of purchases, you see 7,32,500 was the cost for this 300 tons which was bought that year. And also in case of zinc, 100 tons was bought, and for that 100 tons it costed 62,500. Fine. So that exact amount have to be written down here. Then what happened, once we add these together, we'll get 400 and the value 9,72,500 and 1,01,500 in case of zinc gas. In case of zinc. Then what happens, we are subtracting the closing stock 110. So what is the value of this 110? Exactly the same way we calculated opening stock. 2,400 per ton is there. So 110 is the quantity here. 110 into 2,400 you can do, and you will get 2,64,000. And same in case of Z, that is 50 into 650 you have to do, and you will get 32,500. Okay. Then once we add these together, once we subtract this 2,64,000 from 9,72,500, we'll get this value. And once we subtract 32,500 from this 1,01,500, we'll get 69,000. So this is the values or the data you have to take inside the. This is the values we have to take inside our table. That is 290 and 110. Okay, so we have directly found the totals. This is how our table will come, and you can start doing the variance. You can start doing the computations with the help of this data. Okay, this question have specifically told us to show material price variance, mixture variance, and yield variance. Material price variance, I would tell you to do it by yourself. In case of mixture and yield, I will help you with one figure. I will provide you the figures, and you should do the computations by yourself. Okay, in case of in case of yield, I will be providing you with the standard output for actual input, and also standard rate for actual output per kg or per ton. That I will provide you, and that is in our formula sheet. This is our formula sheet, right? So material yield variance they have asked us to find, material price variance they have asked us to find, and material mix variance they have asked us to find. So material price variance you can do it by yourself with the information I have given in this paper, right? And mix variance and yield variance. In case of yield variance, I will provide you with this and this. Then you can do the further computations by substituting that value into this formula. And in case of material mix variance, I will help you with RSQ. I will help you find the RSQ, and the rest you have to do by yourself. This is the three specific things they have told us to find. How are we going to find? We have to, what is the actual output? We got 375. Okay. Then how much input we used in case of standard? 395. I want to know the standard output for actual input. What is the actual input? 400. So how much will I get? I will get 379.75. Actual input means, actual output means what? Actual output is equal to 375. Then let me help you with standard rate per ton or kg or ton of actual output, right? So this is the standard cost, 740,625 divided by what is the actual output? 375. So once you do that, we will get 740,625 divided by 375. We will end up with 1975. 1975. Now substitute these values into the formula and find material yield variance by yourself. Now let me help you with RSQ, so that you can also do mix variance by yourself. So RSQ means what? We are going to divide the actual quantity on the basis of standard ratio, right? So standard ratio means here 276.5 out of 395. Okay, it should be shown separately. In case of C, 276.5 divided by 395. We are going to divide this 400 in the ratio of standard, so 400. And in case of zinc, 180.5 divided by 395 into 400 you have to do. See what we are going to get? 20. Okay, so this is the RSQ of C and Z. Now you have to substitute this into the formula and find the answer by yourself. And I know you will be able to do that. It is easy. Just substitute it to this. You already know what is actual quantity, what is standard rate. You already know actual output. I have already given you the information regarding entire information regarding material yield variance. This one also you can do by yourself. Okay, so this is how we do illustration number 4. So thank you for watching and rock your studies. Bye bye.